Hi, Ashley.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for coming in today. Thanks for filling out your medical history and your 3-day diet diary. So after you filled out that diet, when you looked at it on paper, were there things in there that you would say that nutritionally you think is good and you'd like to keep on there?
I really like to eat chicken, so I really like to keep that in there because I know there's a lot of protein in it, and it's just something I enjoy eating.
Okay, that's good. And then, are there any areas where you think that you need some work?
It. My doctor did mention to me that I need to eat more iron, so he said a lot more leafy greens. So I've been trying to do that, but I don't think I've been sticking to it very well.
Okay, sure. All right. And then I know you're in dental hygiene school. Do you feel like that has affected your diet and your activity level?
Yeah, I think it has just because I feel like I don't have a lot of spare time besides work, and I drive an hour to go to school there and back, and I'm there quite often and spend most of my day there. So I don't have a lot of spare time to work out as much or take the time to plan out my meals to make sure they're as nutritional as they should be.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to discuss your nutrition and goals we can set for your oral health, as
Okay.
well as your overall systemic health, because they're directly related. You scored a 4 on your cavity-causing foods from your Determine Your Caries Risk form, so that does not require any dietary counseling. With the information you gave me, I calculated your BMI, your body mass index, and your BEE. So your BEE is that suggested calorie intake based on maintaining your current weight with your moderate activity level with your tumbling and your walking. And then I did notice that your BMI is above the normal range, so that does put you at risk for preventable chronic diseases. So that includes hypertension, osteoarthritis, elevated cholesterol or triglyceride levels, heart disease, stroke, insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, gallbladder disease, sleep apnea, and certain types of cancer. These systemic diseases can affect your oral health as well as your systemic health. For instance, that type 2 diabetes. So the health it affects the health of your gums. So if your blood sugar isn't stable, it can cause inflammation in your gums, eventually affecting your periodontium, so the tissues that stabilize your teeth. And then if you have inflammation because of your home care, maybe lacking with your brushing, flossing, or using a mouth rinse, it can cause instability in your blood sugar, and that becomes kind of a vicious cycle of trying to stabilize those two things. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, so then when I moved on to your BEE, that ended up coming out to 4,367 kcals. Your average intake for those 3 days was 1,372 kcals. Now, are you eating purposely in a calorie deficit to lose weight?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense. So let's try and find a way where we can meet in between. I'm sorry. And also on myplate.gov, it does recommend for your gender, age, and height that you consume 2,400 kcals a day. So maybe we can meet in the middle with that 2,400 because you're at that 1,372, and that 2,400 is a healthy number. Does that sound like something you could do?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think that's a pretty good compromise between the BEE, the 4,367 kcals, and what you've averaged. And then my plate also recommends food group wise 5 to 6.5 ounces of protein, 2.5 to 3 cups of vegetables, 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit, and then 3 cups of dairy, and 6 to 8 ounces of grains. So I will send this home with you. It has all of that on here. And then there's also a sheet here, and this has you can fill in, see if you're meeting your daily goals, and that can help you keep track once you get home and you get started on this. So I looked at what goals you met for those recommendations. So you met the recommended goals for calcium, vitamin C and vitamin A, but then we're deficient in the food groups grain, dairy, fruits, vegetables, and then you were deficient in protein, carbohydrates, iron, and calcium. And also on top of that, you do take that oral contraceptive, so there is a possibility of being deficient in folate, vitamins B12, B6, vitamin E, magnesium, selenium, and selenium because of that oral contraceptive. So what I did was I put together a sheet that has nutrient deficiencies, and then some examples of foods that can cover those deficiencies. So with that iron deficiency, systemically you could have fatigue, pale skin, shortness of breath. And then with the calcium deficiency, calcium is good for strong bones and teeth, and you're at risk for an increased risk for osteoporosis or osteomalacia, which are also related to vitamin D. Those kind of D and calcium go together. So some calcium-rich foods can also cover your the dairy food group. So milk, cheese, yogurt. Do you like cottage cheese?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and then the dark leafy vegetables, those cover several categories too, like iron, like you talked about the iron, and then that covers folate. And it also is in the magnesium rich food category. So that's a good one. And then brown rice is, do you like brown rice?
I don't really like brown rice. I like white rice though.
Okay, I was going to say, because that is rich in selenium and zinc, and it would
into trying new stuff.
cover the green category. So there's some just suggestions you can take a look at and see what works for you, so you don't feel like you're eating a ton of food to cover all that, because they're kind of cross categories. And then so we went over that. And so I think we talked at one point about how you like to meal prep. So you think maybe with the meal prepping, that'll be a little bit easier to add those foods in there?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see. Oh, and there's sodium. So your sodium is a little bit high too. So with sodium, we just want to maybe stay away from prepackaged foods. Those are a lot of times high in sodium. And then I know you cook, so maybe just not adding extra salt. Maybe, does that sound like something that you could work with there?
Yeah, I can try to drink less energy drinks too. I know those have a lot of sodium, and I like to drink those, so I can try to stop drinking them as much.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the recommended water intake is 91 ounces, so you were short on that. So just adding some more. So if you maybe switch to water from those energy drinks, maybe that will add some water to your daily intake. That's really beneficial for your health. Do you think that's a good alternative there?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then it says that you on your 3-day diary that you worked out 2 out of the 3 days. So with the tumbling and the walking, do you think you wanted to add any more days, or how many days total do you normally do out of the 7?
Usually I'll tumble for 2 to 3, and then I walk about 6 days a week.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that sounds good. You may want to add, I don't know if you want to add 1 more day of tumbling if possible, if that's what you would like to do. All right. So a good way to measure all of this is if we were to have you at your next recall bring in another 3-day diary, and then we can compare it to this one and see how much you've improved. Does that sound like a good idea? Does that sound doable?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just write a couple things down here. So we're going to fill out the new diary next time, and then we're going to have more water intake, and then add 1 more day of exercise, and that food prepping is going to help you out. All right, does that sound good, all of that?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about anything?
No.
All right, thank you so much for coming in, and we'll see you in 6 months.
Thank you.
All right, bye.